maximum good to maximum people. So again, the same guy, the proponent, Jeremy Bentham, he brought this. Okay. Yeah, later on, Bill. First it was Bentham. Okay. Now, why? He said because he wants that there are certain ideas in his mind regarding how rights should be, what should compose of rights, how should laws be formulated, and he was not happy with the types of legislations, the lawmaking that was going on. Okay, he was not happy with the types of lawmaking that was going on, the legislations that were happening during his times. So he would say that all the lawmakers, kind of should use what he will call principle of utility. Now, what is that? Principle of utility to legislate. Legislate, you need, make laws. To legislate is to make law. Now, by this he means that, legislation, the law making, morally correct, morally sound it should be. Okay. And should prevent bad things, right? So it should prevent evil, pain, sufferings, and enhance benefit, happiness. So what it should do, what it should not do, and what it should do. This is his principle of utility. Okay, should prevent these things, the bad things, and should bring more of these things. Okay, this is how it should be. Okay, and state. Again, you can define principle of utility in a more broader sense, that state must maximize the very definition of utilitarianism, utility of community, which is, what is utility of community? Greatest happiness of community. Okay, this is Bentham utilitarian theory of right. Kindly note it down quickly. I don't think you have a doubt here. You already have done what is utilitarianism. Noted, all of you? I'm rubbing it. No doubts here. Very simple thing. Now, what he would say further? Coined which term? Who coined the term utilitarianism? Again, Bentham. Yes, he is the one credited with this. But before him, people have worked on him. But he is the one, who gave that greatest happiness of greatest number is the measure of right and wrong. And this was his utilitarian concept, Jeremy Bentham. He was in 18th century. Now you see, now there are criticisms. Criticism of utilitarian theory. Okay. So what would be the criticism? Can you tell me? Like, how would you criticize maximum good for maximum numbers? Anyone, please give it a try. How can you ignore others as in? Yes. What is good for others? And more than that, more than that, there are people who don't know quantitative, okay, all these things, right, all your points, let us present them in a more coherent way and more, we need to articulate it better. You all are not wrong. He is time of keeping a mathematical formulation. Not everyone can evaluate his own happiness, right? This is also true, right? There are people who are doing wrong thing, but they think they are doing very good thing to themselves. No. And this is, quantitative, as in happiness is inside each of us, and every quantitative thing can be measured, so can happiness. It can be represented. But how is that possible? Simply not possible. What more? Happiness of one person can be added to happiness of other is what he thinks. That is why there is utilitarian approach. Okay. But how do we see it in world? Happiness at times are mutually exclusive. See what is happening. People are not unhappy because people are not sad because of their troubles. People are more sad because the other one is happy. Am I right or wrong? ऐसा देखा है कि नहीं, ऑब्जर्व किया है कि नहीं आपने, कि लोग अपनी परेशानियों से दुखी नहीं है, वो आपको सुखी देख के दुखी हो जाएगा, right? So given the state of whenever someone clears UPSC, yeah, sounds good in Hindi. I had a lot of apprehension when I started teaching you all regarding your Hindi skills, but I have been proved wrong. Decent level of Hindi. So yes, this is actually correct, that you cannot add up. You cannot add up the happiness. It's not a monolithic, like you are happy, everyone is happy. Yes, that was stereotyping. Okay, so it's not like happiness is a binary unit that you can go on adding. Happiness at times will be mutually exclusive. One person happiness depends on the other person's people being sad. That's true. So this is what he will say. And that is why he will is what he believes. That's not happening actually. Second point is, again, what Bentham believes. If that were the case, if happiness was so quantitative and it can be measured, then where was the issue? If there was some degree of happiness that all of us have, this is the criticism, right? If happiness was so easy to be measured through some instrument or in some unit, you know, you all know what is unit. There is no happiness meter. He thinks there is something like that. The first point he extends to the critics extend to policymakers. Like not everyone can evaluate, and neither can policymaker evaluate your happiness. In theory, it sounds very good, right? In theory, something sound very good, but when you practice it, it becomes very bad. Like demonetization, it's supposed to be a reform, but it made many people sad in this country, whatever be the intent behind it, right? So these are the critiques. That not how do we know that policymakers know what will make maximum good for maximum numbers, what will actually constitute of maximum good for maximum numbers. Understood, all of you? Please note it down quickly. Please let me know if you have copied, if you have written it. All of you have written. Okay. Now another very important part we have to see. In your syllabus, we have to study Rawls' theory of justice. But actually, his theory of justice is an important work on rights. Rights and justice cannot be segregated, right? Now, a just state for John Rawls has to be an egalitarian state. Egalitarian, you know, where equality is established, has to be egalitarian. Now, how will the egalitarian state come? Through social contract. How many of you don't know about social contract? Please let me know. Everyone knows. Good. Okay, I'll explain it. Don't worry. First, you need to know that this is applied not Hobbes or Locke's social contract, not to state or free, but to nature of justice. He would say this is his social contract theory for yes, on rights. Like Rawls would say that you would imagine yourself in a contract like situation where we all must agree with all those people who are living with us in a society based on the principles of justice that will govern it. So he would say that any principle of justice that results from this hypothetical social contract agreement process should be understood to be the best defensible conception of justice that is available to all of us. So what we do, we say that everyone in a contract situation, whosoever lives in society is under social contract, must agree to what? With all those who live together. Okay, based on principle of, see, don't get confused, because I'll explain social contract in details now. There's the social contract theory of rights also. That's why John Rawls will become very important there. Okay, like now, first of all, what is social contract theory? Before state was formed, before the proper order was established, it was believed that man used to live in state of nature. Okay, nature was there, you can do anything that you want. There is no state, there is no authority. You can roam around, you can eat whatever you can catch. Okay, depends on your ability. Now when this what do you call it, this formalization of state happened. Okay, when this formalization of state happened, only then the social contract came. Now, what was this social contract? That me as an individual have surrendered certain liberty to the state. Okay, all of us have surrendered some part of our freedom to our state, to our government, and government has told us that they will provide us with certain basic governance. Now this is his social contract, that there is a minimum things that we are to be provided with, and for that we need to surrender something on our part, some part of our freedom. This is social contract. Now there are several exponents of social contract. There is John Locke, there is, you know, this guy Thomas Hobbes, many people are there. So his social contract, this John Rawls, when he speaks about right, tomorrow we will learn about his theory of justice also. It's a very important thing in your syllabus. Repeatedly questions have come in your exam. So he says that it is not on state, it's the nature of justice. He has slightly modified it, and everyone who is in a contract, like me and you live in an ordered society, in a civilized society, so we are of course under a social contract. When the government says no to something, we should not do it because we have surrendered our liberty, and government is saying no because government is the one calling the shots. We have surrendered our liberty to government so that uniformity and law and order can prevail. Did you understand, the one who was asking it? Please let me know. Vishwanath. Okay, so that is his social contract. Second part is, yes, it is simply saying that when you are living under a social contract, then you must agree with all those who live together based on principle of justice. So if justice is being served by the state, whether you like it or not, you must agree to it, because it is the state who decides it. See, can I rub this? I'll explain it more. Okay. Now you see. Yes, any legislative act you can say. Yes, it's positive liberty. See, try to understand. I have not told you about Immanuel Kant. See, there was this guy, Immanuel Kant, and he would say, you know what he said? contract acknowledges way in which people should be treated as ends in themselves, not solely as means. So each individual is an end in itself, in himself or herself. They are not ends. This is what contract of Immanuel Kant says. It is a way to secure that acknowledgement. Okay, it is a way to secure that acknowledgement by hypothetically involving every member of society in the assessment of those policies in a way that respect her interest and perspective as an individual. Are you understanding? This is very close to democracy, right? That people are an end in themselves. And how is democracy established? We select our elected representatives. They make laws on our behalf. So we must abide by those laws. Are you understanding? Any doubt here? Any doubt you have? Okay. So this was the basis. Now I just gave a passing reference actually. You don't have to study Kant directly as a thinker. And no, Kant did not talk about social contract. Bentham did. And we will see tomorrow the theory of justice of Bentham, for which he is more famous. So there is this social contract tradition. Now, here people like John Locke. Okay, John Locke is here. Rousseau is here. So what did he say? That man had natural rights in state of nature is what he said. That man had absolute light, the natural light. Okay, sure. I'll go slow. Man had all these natural light and state of nature when there was no state. There was a early man was living. There was no state at that time. There was no proper order in the society, and man is reasonable. So reason tells a man not to harm others. Okay, and therefore man should have liberty, health, and property is what he's saying. From these three things, these three things are kind of inalienable. Man should not be right to life, liberty, and property are inalienable, which means like we all have surrendered some part of our freedom, some part of our rights to state because we are under social contract. But liberty, property, and life has not been surrendered. That is why he talks about absolute property. Let a man possess as much property as he can. Okay, that is what John Locke said. Understood of you the social contract? So this must remain with man is what his theory of justice would say, what social contract traditions would say, what a Locke or a Rousseau would say, right? Can I rub it? Now there is this teleological tradition also. Now there is this teleological tradition of rights. Now we saw the social contract. So there is this teleological tradition. This teleology, purpose. Now Thomas Paine, one of many great proponents of American Revolution. Which one? Social contract. Yes, you asking about social contract connected to Rawls' social contract or the current one, right? No. Not It's not theological. It's teleological. Theological would mean different thing. What you have written means rule by religion. I've written teleological. Please see the spelling again. Yeah, Pine. Thomas Paine, Right of Man, he wrote actually. Just leave Rawls' social contract. Tomorrow we'll see it. No, we are not seeing justice, we are seeing rights. Tomorrow we'll see rights. Actually, I should have explained that to you after explaining Rawls' theory of justice. But no issue, you can leave that. Tomorrow we'll see it in all the details. Now please come to teleological traditions of rights. Okay. Now Pine will call social contract is illogical because it establishes an order. Right. What democracy that was brought in India in 1950, actually 26th of Jan, the constitution was enforced and a constitutional government as well. Now until 2020, now we are following the same thing. So he would say, what kind of social contract is this? Now you see, you read fundamental rights part 3, you read part 4, fundamental duties. I guess you have not. So here, none of your fundamental rights are absolute. Do you know this? Except for maybe Article 17. There are reasonable restrictions on all the fundamental rights. Part 4A is fundamental duty. Part 4 is DPSP. Yes, part 4 is DPSP. This is part 4A. Yes. No, Article 21 can be. यार फांसी नहीं चढ़ाई जा रही है, चढ़ाया जा रहा है. कसाब का आर्टिकल 21 कहाँ गया? ले गया ना स्टेट. ड्यू प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ. Yes, very good, Santosh. Article 17 पर नहीं लगता है that you have written, someone has written, Archita, yes, untouchability. Yes, Article 17 पर नहीं लगता है. तो खैर छोड़िए उसको. मैं all I want to tell you that there are certain contracts that we enter into, certain minimum programs through constitution we will be guided. Now, Pine would say that this social contract is illogical because the contract was brought by previous generation, 1950. Now previous generation is imposing it successive generations. So he wants that this should be dynamic. Pine would say that man must possess certain rights which gives him opportunity to live as humans, which means there must be change in laws, not that what our previous generation agreed on. So you see amendments being brought, laws being changed, triple talaq being scrapped, UCC should come, okay, and your so many amendments happening. So man must the rights will change, okay. Section 377, homosexuality being decriminalized, right? This is what the theology instead. What is social contract? Once you enter into a social contract and you are asking all your further generation to, you're actually imposing it on success. No, this should not be. What happened here must not be relevant here. I mean, it's liable to be changed, right? Are you understanding the theological tradition? Now, what is basic structure? Leave that. Payne has not talked about basic structure. Payne has just said that do not enforce what was done by the previous generation. He's not talking about the Indian Constitution. Okay, can I rub this? Payne is much before Indian Constitution. Now you see, there is this legal theory of right. Like once the law has been formed, you must obey it. Again, Hobbes, this Bentham will say the same thing. Okay, now we can say you may write about the legal theories. Have we seen the libertarian? No, 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 we have not. Okay, let us see first. Tomorrow, let us wait for this John Rawls theory on justice. Only then you will be able to understand what Rawls is saying. Because his theory, his theory of right is actually a corollary of his theory of justice. So, yes, first we should see justice, then we shall only see his theory of rights. Now, there is something called legal rights, which is given by the law. And it would say when state exists, only then man can enjoy rights. Why? Because the moment state exists, law and order is established. And only this is the first step, this is the second step, and then this is the third step. Understood? Who will protect your rights? Someone comes and kidnaps you. Who will protect your rights? State will. So a state has to exist in order for law and order to be established. And only when this is established, then only man can enjoy the rights. Only then you know that no, someone will not kick me or kill me because he has a better physical infrastructure than what you have, right? Man's ability, again, the legal rights that the communist states say directly flow from what they call their Politburo and manifesto. Forget that. Of course, there are no legal rights. The law is molded in a way. Okay, so here the man's ability to enjoy right will be shaped by state's capacity to provide right. Okay, so where does man have liberty? Where law is silent. Very important. You can do what you wish to do. Yes, Hobbes, you can do what you wish to do if state has not made a law on that thing. Understood? This is the legal right that you have. This statement by Hobbes sums it up, that you have liberty to do whatever you wish if state has not made a law on that thing. So whether you can roam around in the middle of night is subject to, is there a law that regulates that action? Are you understanding? Are you understanding this? Man has liberty where law is silent, because what they assume, legal right proponents, that only when state will be there, then only law and order will be there. And only when law and order will be there, one leads to two, leads to three, only then you can enjoy your rights. Okay, now are you understanding why I started with thinkers? Because all these things have been told by the thinkers. UK follows it, the legal rights, and Bentham is very critical of natural rights. Why you got confused? That so much you have to study, Krishna. And why is sir starting from something that is written at the bottom of the syllabus? You're not the first student who says so. Yes, sir, why are you starting from something that is written on the 7th or 8th point of paper 1 part A? Why not from the first? And then 1 or 2 months, like you, all of us, all of them have the answers. The remaining portion of your syllabus of part A is actually an extension of what the thinkers have said, especially the Western political thinkers. Okay, so please don't be confused. Now you see. You should have asked this then and there. Why do you hesitate? I'm not like I'll eat you up. Feel free to ask questions. Whatever doubts you have. Why doing this? Why doing that? Because see, you have to appear for your exam, and there has to be clarity from both ends, from my end and from your end. There cannot be a state of dilemma. Else, you will any type of dilemma you will have. So now you are old, so you have become little shameless. You were hesitant. No, clear your doubts, please. Nothing to do with your oldness or newness. Just ask questions, because new people will have more questions, and I always encourage it. Of course, up to a certain point, because the kind of rhetorics that this optional subject offers. You understand what is rhetorics? All of you know the meaning of this word? Okay, first let me write it. You don't know? How would you define it? Rhetorics is something, because you say certain thing because how blank statements it can be. You speak it very effectively, you say it very effectively, but it's not actually the case. Like we often talk about political rhetorics. Like Rahul Gandhi is saying that if we were in power, चीन 15 मिनट में हम भगा देते हैं. किया था तुम्हारे परनाना 62 में, सबको पूरे संसार को पता है. This is a rhetoric that if we were in power, then we would have kicked out China in 15 minutes, is what he said. I hope you have heard about it. This is a political rhetoric. So the scope of rhetorics in our subject, political science and international relation, is enormous. Okay, it's actually enormous. So that's why as examinees, we need to stop at certain time, and we have not engaged into rhetorics all the time. We have to be very careful with our syllabus and how to write a good answer that gives us very good marks in our optional. So this guy Bentham, you see, those who have studied Western political thought must be aware of him. Those who have not, I'll tell you, he is critical of natural rights. He has called natural rights with as nonsense. Okay, anarchical fallacies. Because those people who want, you remember, all of you, last class we have discussed what is natural right. So people who want natural right can, anarchy is lawlessness, orderlessness. Natural right is rebellion, terrestrial language, chimera, imaginative. Okay, these are the views of Bentham on natural rights. No right can be absolute, he's saying. So he would say natural right is as bad as divine right. उससे अच्छा राजा रानी को बैठा दो कि भगवान ने भेजा है. Do you remember what you discussed in natural rights? Please let me know. We have discussed it yesterday, I guess. Yeah, day before yesterday in the last class. No, divine right and natural rights were very different, very similar. They were not part of the natural right, but then divine right is like king saying that I am the divine, God has sent me, so don't question me. Natural right is that you want to do anything and everything because you want to stay in state of nature. There is no stopping you. Okay, right? Remember or not? So that was what the natural right theory was. It's a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous thing, he would say. It is the oldest theory, and natural right, like self-evident truth. Every person has right to life, liberty, happiness, which is given by God. So no, let the state create rights. We don't have natural right. Like it's saying that there is divine right. Bentham will be critical because yes, it has divine origin. Because God, remember we discussed America in the last class. Can I rub this? So Bentham was a jurist, someone who is a legal. So how can he defend natural rights? He cannot. He will always talk about legal right. He will want state to act. He is a law and order person. Are you understanding or not? If he was a priest instead of a jurist, he would have said divine right or a natural right. All of you understood? Naya bacha kaun hai? New student? There are some new bachas. Vishwanath Sai M. Are you understanding? You said yes. Good. Fair. So a legal person will not talk about natural right or divine right. He will always be critical. He will talk about laws. Okay. Now there is conservative theory. What do conservatives believe in? Can anyone tell me? Because I have told this to you. Status quo, right? Because they believe in customs and traditions, right? Like conservatives will not appreciate homosexuality. Even if there is the right, the homosexual rights have been recognized by law, but if it is not sanctioned from society, man will not kind of enjoy those rights. Yes, BJP has this impression of being conservative, but they are acting more liberal than liberals. I mean, the same case, the LGBT section 370, not 370, the section 377, when it was in court, the Supreme Court asked the view of the government. Government said, we don't have an issue. The three opposition party in the Supreme Court of India were the three churches of India. The Mar Thomas Church, I guess, in Kerala, if I'm not wrong. But I can 100% tell you that there were three churches in India that opposed scrapping of section 377. The government did not. The Prime Minister of India, from his speech at Red Fort, talks about sanitary napkin. I mean, if this is conservatism, see what Arun Jaitley said was his opinion. I'm talking about the government opinion. There must be people in party who will criticize, but what the government did, not one individual. Government did not say that. And I told you, Prime Minister talks about sanitary napkin from the ramparts of Red Fort. I'm still to see a liberal who would do the same. I mean, why didn't anyone else talk about it? So yes, they are being labeled as conservative, but of late, Of course, there are certain things on which they are conservative. I think it varies from stuff to stuff. So yes, conservatives believe in customs and traditions. Okay, customs and traditions, and it's not like we can equate scrapping of section 377 with modernity. There can always be a counter view. Someone equally modern will be in favor. Okay, but then the law was there because of Victorian morality, not because of certain modernity. So rights, they would believe, are products. Rights are product of customs and traditions. So if it is not sanctioned from society, it cannot be kind of practiced, or individual cannot enjoy it. Okay, so custom and traditions are source of rights. Understood? Edmund Burke was in favor of conservative theory of rights, and that is why he criticizes. I told you, you will understand history in a lot better way, even than a historian. You know why? Okay, I have seen many people who are big guns in history. They have their degrees, good degrees from good colleges of India and even abroad, masters and MPhil and PhD and whatnot. And then they know facts. उनको ना औरंगजेब के जूते का नंबर भी याद है, कितने नंबर का औरंगजेब जूता पहनता था, और बहादुर शाह ने कितने नंबर का जूता पहना था, कितना उनका कपड़े का साइज था, ये भी याद है उनको. बट yeah, actually I have come across such people. अरे you come to Delhi, I'll मैं आपको ऐसे लोगों से मिलवा दूंगा, एक लाइन में बता देते हैं कि इतना सौ इतना में ऐसा हुआ था. Okay, and they will say this with impunity without taking a breath. They can go on. They can tell you entire Delhi Sultanate from Qutbuddin Aibak to Lodhi, which year who ruled, and all the sultans from Battle of Tarai to first Battle of Panipat, from Qutbuddin to Lodhi. I'm talking about 400 years, and they can name all the kings, which year they ruled, how much was the duration, when Khilji came, when Tughlaq came. Like they will succeed. They have this on their fingertips. So when you do not understand ideology, you cannot understand history. You can of course cram up history, but ideologies, political science helps you understand history in a lot better way. Now, Burke has criticized French Revolution. Anyone who has studied French Revolution will tell you this. Marx has criticized French Revolution. Anyone who can tell me why? Because I've told this to you. Anyone? Yes. Because it did not change the mode of production. Because it did not change the mode of production. No, it did not change the mode of production, right? I mean, the structure would have changed. Instead of how it was being produced, production was done during the monarch, it would have changed. That is what the mode of production must change. The economic structure must change for a revolution to occur. So now we know why Marx is critical of French Revolution. Now we also know why Burke is critical of French Revolution. Because he's a conservative, he will not like that king and queen should be beheaded, and that's what happened in French Revolution. Okay, French Revolution challenged and destroyed existing order in France. So who will criticize is of course someone who is a proponent of conservative theory of rights. Correct? Black Friday. Yeah, there was this Friday. Yes, you will study about it. So now you will know, when you will understand political science, you will understand each history will become very easy, and you will appreciate it also, because you will know the reasons. Now can I rub it? Which criticism? See, none of these theory, because see, I got it. How you will criticize it? You just use one theory with the other. You just kind of what you do. You will not be asked what is the criticism of conservative theory, or if there is you can pitch what is there in natural rights. You can write it as a criticism of conservative theory. What is critical in natural right? You can use conservative theory. Okay, like I'll tell you this theological tradition. Now, why he contracts social contract? Why he criticizes social contract? Because he says that one generation is imposing things on the other. Social contract is critical of natural rights, right? Conservatives are critical of both. So theories are, you have to derive this. When you understand, you know it. Now, one thing you can write, it will help you remember that change the parent right. It is based on abstract individual. Individual is an abstract and kind of atomist man, like an atom individual exists in himself, a whole entity. But this conservatives would say that's not the case. Man is social, not atomist. Okay, Lacantier said this. Belief in natural light is like believing in witches. Chudail. He's again conservative. LSD or Lacantier. Okay, Scottish philosopher. Are you understanding? Read it 2 to 3 times, you will remember. I mean, how else do you remember? You read it 2 to 3 times, you revise it, you appear for the questions, the test, like with your previous batch. Anyone from the previous batch? The conservatives do not believe in divine rights. See, please try to understand. Here, Galaxy, you are from previous batch. So, have you written the test? Till now, I have received just one question. See, my examples are not to confuse you. My examples are to make things easy for you. If you find it confusing, I'll stop. I'll not do. I won't give many examples. Galaxy, batao, have you submitted the answer sheet? You have not. Certainly, you have not. With previous batch, we are conducting tests. Okay, get well and submit the answer sheet. We are doing answer writing practice. Okay. Actually, you want to know how I remember everything? Initially, I also have some issue, but I like these things. I like this subject. That's why maybe with interest I read and I remember. Yes, because time bhi ho gaya na yaar. 7th year I am teaching. That's why I write the name of the thinkers also. See, first thing is interest. I think it's from my teaching style, it's evident that I have interest in this. Most of my students tell me. The first thing is you need to have an interest. Second thing, when you have an interest, then you will fish for the material. You will go and read the original sources, all the things. And then when you do it repeatedly, I mean, what will be left, right? I'm not saying you go for research. Just stick to this method. Revise things. Yes, yes. I have a question for this. Revise these things, and whenever you have your writing test, please appear for this. Krishna, right now there not won't be test for you. We have not even done the syllabus, right? It's for the previous batch who will be appearing for main exam. And I'm very happy to tell you that many of the previous batch students, although I did not teach them, but I have interacted with them this year, like I interacted with all of you. Many of them are appearing for the main exam. Their cutoff is way above 110 and 120 of prelims. So 100% they are appearing for main. So we want you there. And now they are sending their answers and I am evaluating them. This is the strategy. First, finish the thing, finish the content, cover the entire syllabus, revise it, give test. Until you take test, until you write, you won't be able to write your main exam. See, main exam is actually a race against time. Okay, I'll give this all this again when I'll be there. Now leave this. The only thing is you need to revise. I'll talk about these things when I'm there. 100%. Okay. Now, can I rub this? All of you have noted? See, conservatives do not believe in divine right, but if divine right is the custom, they will believe in it. Conservatives believe in custom and traditions. So if it comes from God, they will say yes. If it comes from society, they will say yes. And traditionally, what was happening? Traditions were connected to religion or not. So most of the conservatives will believe in divine right. It's not a default, it's a design. Conservatives will believe in whatever practices were happening over a period of time. Correct, Vishnu? So if it was something else, they would believe in that. They don't want to rupture the existing practices. And most of the times, traditions or rituals were connected to the religion everywhere in the world. Now, see the next thing. This is Lasky's theory of right also, but then we'll do these things in justice. Lasky and what is that guy? Rawls, yes. Rawls and John Rawls and Lasky will do it with justice. Now, there is something very important that we must know, and I expect a question also. Human rights. If you were to define it, how would you define it? Anyone? No one? Don't quote Hillary. No. Nothing basic about it. No. The rights that you give, the rights that you are entitled to by virtue of being a human being. Okay? You have those rights because you are a human. See, for personal satisfaction, you will have fundamental rights and all these liberty, your personality development, because you are a human being. You are a human being, so there is something which is inalienable from you, which cannot be detached from you, which cannot be separated from you. That is human right. Any other living entity is not entitled to it. Animals are not, birds are not. Okay, fishes are not, aquatic life is not. Okay, human rights are anthropogenic concept. दोनों का एक optional होता है ना यूपीएससी में, anthropology. Human rights are anthropogenic. Remember this, that statement, homo mensura. Another quote. Anyone? No. Man is a measure of everything. Protagoras was ancient Greek philosopher. Homo mensura. So by virtue of being human, you are entitled to human rights. These are the things that will come here. You have human rights because you are a human being. For killing an animal, you will be jailed, you will be fined. When Salman Khan was in jail, not in jail, he killed those black bugs, right? So he was very irritated. So he said, "Judge, please hang me." So judge said, you cannot be hanged for killing an animal. So because if there was a human, he would have been hanged if it was proved, but not for animals. So by virtue of being animal, by human, you can get certain type of rights. So how do we define it formally? This is a very informal definition that was never proved. No one was driving that day, it was never proved. So this is just to make you understand in very layman's term. You can say international moral and legal norms that aspire to protect all people everywhere. It does not depend on nationality. From severe political, it can be legal and social abuses. Understood? First, let us complete human rights. Then we'll come to the criticism also, because this is very anthropogenic. Not it should be the okay. This is how you can find it in a very formal. Like this is what you can write in your exam, and this you can write in subsequent explanation. You can quote him if you want. Correct. So these are human rights. Now we will see UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it talked about 24 specific human rights that countries should respect and protect. These things we'll see in the next class. Okay. Any questions here? No, you don't have to be critical of human rights here. In political science, not. Maybe in your environment and ecology. No, NHRC is different. Please. NHRC is not completely different. But then, in order to go into NHRC, first we have to complete fundamental rights. Please spare it for that for now. And see, in political science, you will not criticize human rights. But if there is so much anthropogenic approach, then other species might suffer. So you can criticize it in your paper 3, environment and ecology. Why only humans? Why not everyone? Okay. Right to religion, freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is a human right. Right to a fair trial is a human right. Kasab was given a vakil. Why? Innocent until proven guilty. There has to be a fair trial when charged with a crime. The right not to be tortured is a human right. Okay. Any other question you have? No one. So please revise these things. If you have questions, you can ask. And we'll meet tomorrow then. I hope your connectivity improves, internet connectivity, the rain gods, sun rains to every part of India rather than in your city only. And you get some respite. Enough for this season, right? Monsoon has extended actually. Heavy as in how heavy? For 3-4 days. Then it's improved. God is not that. Certainly, God is not anthropogenic, like Pythagoras said. And God has to see everyone. Okay, let us meet tomorrow.